So all of a sudden, in the Brian Koberger case, Idaho 4, the DoorDash driver's coming up. Some people believe that Koberger was the driver. He wasn't. But there's speculation on this DoorDash driver being a witness. Let's get to the cards. Disclaimer notice. This video is for entertainment purposes only. All information in this video is not based on fact. It is all alleged, based upon my intuition, my opinion, what I believe my tarot cards are telling me. I encourage each and every one of you to do your own research, form your own opinions. After all, I'm just a blonde throwing cards. Before I throw some cards on this, I want to give a shout out to Paparotti. I will link his video on this subject either in the description box below or in the comments. Somewhere you'll find it. But I'm going to play a clip. It is approximately 11 to 12 minutes long. He's gone through the actual what's available still on the affidavit or search warrant for the DoorDash. And he goes into about the disclosures, about the redaction, the sealing of this information, and why it's sealed. And I recommend that you really go to his channel and watch the whole entire thing as well, because after he goes through all the documentation and explaining the laws associated with why it is sealed, he goes into the actual driving path, most probable driving path, that also involves picking up Brent Kopaka. Imagine that. So, as soon as this next clip plays, it'll be about 11-12 minutes, somewhere around there, I will get into the reading.
They did not pursue the DoorDash driver until December 6th. So, once again, how could law enforcement be that dim-witted? I mean, considering you got FBI and everybody else, they didn't investigate the DoorDash order. But when they finally did, well, I think some things came of that, okay? And you can see this right here. This is back in March, where they had a hearing to seal all the information about the DoorDash order and the DoorDash driver and everything. That's why you haven't been able to really get any information on this in a long time. Even though Drip Drop, I know a long time ago, said Brian Koberger was the DoorDash driver. So that isn't something that we haven't heard before. But this is why. It says this matter came before the court February 10th, 2023, on the court's motion to seal or redact pursuant to ICAR 32I. That's Idaho Criminal Administrative Rules 32I. And we'll look at that here in just a minute. Okay, and this hearing was held via Zoom with William Wolford Thompson, Ashley Jennings, and they appeared on behalf of the state, and Taylor appeared on behalf of Mr. Koberger. You see, Ann Taylor doesn't really want the information on the DoorDash driver out there either, because out there in the public sphere, if everybody knows that there is a witness against Brian Koberger, it's going to be prejudicial against Brian Koberger. That's why I haven't done this video. But now people are starting to get that information out there without any backup, and I have to do it. I have to expose it for what it is. All right, so the court reviewed the records, considering the arguments presented, weighed the interest in privacy and public disclosure, and announced its finding of fact on the record. Therefore, the court finds it's necessary to seal, in part, and redact the record related to the search warrant because the documents contain highly intimate facts or statements, the publication of which would be highly objectable to a reasonable person. ICAR 32I2A. So let's take a look at the Idaho Criminal Administrative Rules on that so that we're clear on everything. Okay, first we've got 32I. All right, other prohibitions or limitations on disclosure and motions regarding the sealing of records. Physical and electronic records may be disclosed or temporarily or permanently sealed or redacted by order of the court on a case-by-case basis. Any person or the court on its own motion may move to disclose, redact, seal, or unseal a part or all of the records in any judicial proceeding. And then when we skip down here, we'll see that it says it may be necessary to prevent harm to any person or persons. Okay? That's 32I. Now let's go to 32IA. All right, that the documents or materials contain highly intimate facts or statements, the publication, so publication, that means putting it out there to us, of which would be highly objectionable to a reasonable person. Okay? So those are the statutes that they're citing when they redact and seal it. And I'll show you why that's important here in a second. Okay, here's another part of the warrant. And it says, based upon the motion to seal the search warrant related to documents filed herein, the court does hereby order the affidavit for the search warrant, including any exhibits, the search warrant, return of the search warrant, inventory seized, that they're all ordered confidential, exempt from disclosure, and are sealed pursuant to Idaho Court Administrative Rule 32G1. Now, when they say sealed and exempt from disclosure on this, the defense has the disclosure on the DoorDash, all right? They have the disclosure on this witness. This isn't like the confidential informant. And they got it at 32G1, okay, for the reasons stated in the motion. So this is one that the defense knows all about. But let's look at 32G1. 32G1s are court records exempt from disclosure except as provided in this paragraph H in this rule. Court records specified below are exempt from disclosure. Any willful or intentional disclosure, look at this, any willful or intentional, that's why I'm saying this is all speculation on Pavarotti's part, disclosure or accessing of a sealed, shielded, or exempt court record not otherwise authorized under this rule may be treated as contempt of court. So that means anybody disclosing this stuff that actually has access to any of these records, they can be charged with contempt of court. And I don't have access to any of this stuff. Documents or records to which is accessed is otherwise restricted by state or federal law. I have access to none of this stuff, but I can pick fly shit out of black pepper and figure it out. However, other people that have access to this stuff, well, they need to be real careful on what information they're putting out there. You can see the state of Idaho by and through Latah County Prosecuting Attorney. This is another redacted part of the search warrant for DoorDash. Pursuant to Idaho Administrative Rule that we just read, 32G1, and Idaho Code 74124, they ordered to seal the search warrant and all the items seized. So now, what do we got to do? Yeah, we got to look up 74124 because that's the state one. And you can see exemption from disclosure. And what are the reasons? You know, we see these all the time and we try to figure them out. Well, here we go. Number 4, I'm not going to read them all. I'm going to read you the ones that are important. All right, the second one, this is the one that's really important to the defense. All right, deprive a person of a right to a fair trial or an impartial adjudication. So they're saying that's part of the defense. They agreed for disclosure on this because they don't want out there in the public sphere that the prosecution has an eyewitness that's going to be testifying against Brian Kohberger. So for anybody to have access to this knowledge, bad boys, SG, and then disseminate it out there to, say, content creators so that they can shift their motives, well, that is bad. That is really contempt of court. And it's going to deprive a person of his right to a fair trial or an impartial adjudication. But then we've got the prosecution. Why would they want to keep it secret? Well, disclose the identity of a confidential source. Remember that. And in the case of a record compiled by a criminal law enforcement agency in the course of a criminal investigation, confidential information furnished only by the confidential source. Okay, now remember, for those of you that have been watching me close, I actually did a video just not too long ago explaining the differences between a confidential source, a cooperating witness, and a confidential informant. Okay, remember the confidential source was the one that would be used as a witness that doesn't have any involvement in other criminal activities. Okay, so the DoorDash driver is not a cooperating witness or a confidential informant. They are simply a confidential source. So don't get them confused with the confidential informant. It's different than the confidential source. But that's why they would want this stuff not to get out there. And when bad people put this information out there, it's going to deprive a person of the right to a fair trial and impartial adjudication. So by putting that out there, when you have inside knowledge on it, you are in contempt of court, in my opinion. But this is just an opinion thing. You know, it's my speculation. It's entertainment, right? So then we've got the last piece that would really make somebody believe that this witness is possibly legit and really buy into this story. That's why I say these people aren't dumb. They look at stuff like this, I'm sure, and then they are able to figure it out. Or they may be directed to stuff like this to figure it out. But this is the last part of that warrant where it talks about all the information related to the sales, deliveries, purchases, and transactions made to 1122 King Road in Idaho for the period of January 1st through the present include. Now look at this. It tells you all the stuff it includes, but I want you to look at this. From January 1st to the present. What in the heck, right? They just need the records from that night, don't they? No, remember when they got Kohberger's phone history, they went back to what? They went back 6 months, right? So what they tried to do was go back from January to the present, match up Kohberger's historical data to times DoorDash drivers were making deliveries to the King Road house. And then developing, had they seen Kohberger's car there in the past when they have those records of him, you know, his history of his location, supposedly going to the house 13 times or 12 times, whatever. They tried to match it up with the DoorDash driver making deliveries that time of night, and then they're going to say that they witnessed him there on more than one occasion. This is why they believe that. Now, I think Forensic actually believes that Kohberger really is the DoorDash driver, which I'll prove that's not the case here in a minute. I'll also debunk this DoorDash driver being able to identify him here in just a minute as well.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dig in and look at this DoorDash driver and see what the energy is. Show me the energy around this DoorDash driver, please. Show me the energy. Scythe. The scythe is a very sharp weapon, an accident. It is also cutting something off, cutting something out. This makes me think of a very sharp item. At the home. I can't make this shit up. So allegedly, this DoorDash driver saw somebody, maybe they saw somebody with a knife at the home, or they saw a knife at the home during their, this almost feels like, did they see somebody either leaving or arriving at the home? This is almost talking to me about the perpetrator. They're a witness, that's for sure. A key witness. They hold some kind of answer. And I witnessed while during travelers, two storks here that are traveling. It's almost like they passed each other. I can't, around the home. That DoorDash driver definitely saw somebody. And it feels like a female driver. Some people might get offended too. The little melons being exposed there. With the sun. So this is telling a story, and very bluntly, that the DoorDash driver is the key witness, is a female DoorDash driver who's a key witness who passed the perpetrator as one was leaving the house, the other one was arriving. And there's something here about the sun. The sun could be exposure, or be at the break of dawn. Right before the sun comes up. Clarity about the death, the coffin, an ending. And mask. Somebody was wearing a mask. I feel that she saw somebody maybe in her headlights or something like that. Like maybe they may have passed each other and then she delivered the food. And as she's leaving, somebody's coming, and she may have seen some, I want to say on foot. That's just kind of what I'm picking up, on foot, somebody in a mask. Can you tell me more about the mask? Can you tell me more about the mask? Or she was not able to see them clearly. The dice. Roll the dice. It's like being at the right place at the right time, the compass. Okay. It was a roll of the dice. Okay. A stroke of luck. And she happened to be at the right place at the right time to see something. Now, what did she see? Let's find out. So, what did she see? What did this DoorDash driver witness? Now, keep in mind, this might be even a stroke of luck for the defense, because they're using a prosecution's witness against them to prove BK's alibi. Okay. And then, like I said, if you watch that video linked, it's probably most likely going to be in the description. If you watch that, you will, I mean, it is so perfectly clear. Like, it's dark, but what she may have saw somebody in a mask and cannot identify them. Okay, let's see. Let's see the story here. Ten of Pentacles. In this Idaho case, a Ten of Pentacles often represents the fraternity. Okay? But it represents a community. She saw somebody that belonged to a certain community. I feel she saw somebody in a mask. The Tower. She saw somebody, and it may have, right after she see them, then came the catastrophe. It's like she saw them right before Six of Wands. She saw them right before somebody did something that has so far, it feels a success. Sorry about Daisy. Daisy, hush! It's like a muffled bark because I've been trying to correct her. Eight of Cups walking away. I'm kind of wondering around the timing on this, because a lot of things are indicating here, and there's no indication of where the DoorDash driver left the food. She could have left the food outside. I know this. She would not have left the food inside. Did she hand the food to somebody? I don't think she did. But me being a DoorDash driver, I know that we are not allowed to enter a home. If the instructions say hand it to me, we hand it directly to the customer. If the delivery instruction says leave at door, we leave it at the door. I'm feeling like the DoorDash driver may have arrived after the deed was done. That's what I'm getting. I thought that maybe the DoorDash driver may have been there before, but I'm not going to try to make the narrative fit what I think. I'm going to make it fit what the cards say. There is definitely back and forth, passing each other. Okay? Doesn't mean it's by vehicle. She definitely saw somebody in a mask with a weapon at the home or by the home. And it feels like she saw this person leaving the scene after the scene was completely done, and could have been walking towards the fraternity, a group of people, or see, that's what I was trying to say, is this to or from the frat house. I think they were going back to the frat house. And after the deed was done, And they were very meticulous and be careful not to get any bloody footprints outside. But this feels like after the deed was done and they were walking away, that's when she saw them. So the timeline is off. Or she may have saw one group. It's almost like whether it was Xana and Ethan done first or Kaylee and Maddie. This was at least one of the perpetrators or couple perpetrators. I said that there was more than one. And there's more than one group. And there were 4 people that left that house. Or, not, I said left that house. Let me stand corrected. The 4 people in the Banfield, dressed in black. And what did Dylan say? Clad in black, right? So, this makes me think, because the 10 of Pentacles is not a single person. It's a group. And there's 2 here in this picture with a baby, yes. But this feels like 2 separate, at bare minimum, perpetrators. 2 different crimes, 2 different motives. And they may have been meeting up after the deed was done in the Banfield and running. And this reminds me of going toward, I think they were going towards the frat house, allegedly speaking. And she witnessed them walking away. 8 of Cups is walking away. Did she see somebody in the doorway? Getting ready to leave. And if you look here, they've got something in their hand. Reminds me of a golf club. Hello? The 2 of Cups. Xana and Ethan. Well, it could be, this is a couple. Could be Xana and Ethan, and then also Katie and Maddie came together. They were very close, like 2 of Cups energy. They were like sisters. But this is, I'm seeing huddled together. It makes me want to think, but let me keep going before I make a conclusion on who that was. Could the crimes be committed at 2 different times? And everybody met up at a certain place, and what she saw was the finale. And let me see, the DoorDash driver, what was it, 4:05 a.m. or something like that she dropped off the food. And that she may have witnessed the final act. Nine of Wands in the reverse. Defenseless. Or with their guard down. Line of defense gone. 8 of Pentacles. Work. She didn't have her guard up and she wasn't looking for anything. I almost want to say that she didn't want to come forward. We got the sun, exposure. Morning light. That could be, hey, it's almost like at dawn, she realized what she's witnessed and what she saw. The Empress. the victim, walking away from the victims. That's Kaylee and Xana. Or Kaylee and Maddie. That's Xana and Ethan. After the victims were taken care of, this is walking away from the victims. Makes me want to say that Kaylee and Maddie were last. That Xana and Ethan were first to go. Queen of Swords. This is somebody who sees things clearly. She was dealing with Xana and Ethan with the food. She was an eyewitness, and this feels like truthful testimony to her own recollection. And let me keep going. Nine of Pentacles in the reverse. They didn't act alone. She saw more than one person. They was not acting independently. And the Queen of Cups. She's a witness. She is a witness to the fact that it was not done alone. She saw a group of people as well. I think that's going to come on. That's going to be key. The Devil. The Devil with the Sun. There is a little bit of doubt in her own mind of what she really saw. In regards to the people, after successfully doing what they did, the atrocities. Darkness and light. It feels like she has doubts of exactly what she saw. This is somebody with clarity, or who speaks her truth. So I think she is going to speak her truth of what she knows, what she saw, but there's a cloud of doubt over it because it was under the cover of night, and her memory was cloudy because she was just doing her thing. She was doing her work. And it's like she remembers seeing something, but she doesn't remember the intimate details. And Seven of Swords, sneaking around. A little bit of deception. I want to say her testimony being twisted. Almost like King of Swords. Somebody in law enforcement talking her through the night when she dropped off the food, what she saw, and at the house with the 4 victims. Giving the witness something. Okay, that's when she, at the house, when she dropped off the food. 4 of Pentacles, release, not holding. She wasn't holding on to that memory. And she wasn't on guard, which means she wasn't expecting. She wasn't looking for anything. That daisy, I even closed the door. Daisy! She hears a lawnmower outside. Okay. The crossing over, the temperance, the balance. Being at peace. The womb. 22. The world. They call this the womb in this deck, but this is the world. And then it was done. Seven of Cups in a reverse, clarity. I think this is more like things are going to become crystal clear when she testifies. Justice in the reverse. Something not fair. Something not just. Something not correct. Justice in the reverse is scales not balancing. And it's under the Seven of Swords. This is telling me she's going to be discredited. I still feel she's being told what to say. We have a King of Swords here. We've got the Queen of Swords. I feel like she's somebody, she was kind of like coached. That's what I'm getting. Three of Swords in the reverse, healing. This is almost like there's definitely cover up here. Strength in the reverse, feeling weak. It's almost like she's going to be caught off guard. She's going to feel like she's out of control. She was coached what to say, but I feel her being discredited on the stand. No, not this deck. I was going to get Ashley's deck out, and I was told no. Sorry for reaching across the camera. Oh, I got two decks. I meant to grab one. We'll see what both of them have to say. Okay. One of my other favorite decks that I've had for years. Got this back around 8 or 9 years ago, when I really started getting heavy into Lenormand. When I first discovered Lenormand, somewhere around 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. And I still have this deck. It's one of my favorites. If it ever gets to the point where it can't be used anymore, I'll either get another deck, another copy of it, if he still has them, or I will create my own out of a deck of playing cards. Because that's how he started. Before he created his deck, he wrote his book, Joseph Magi. He wrote his book, and in his book shows you how to get a deck of playing cards. And about writing on the playing cards. Okay. What else can you tell us about this night? I really want clarity on this. Clarity about a lie or something untruth, something unfair. Becoming clear about the burden of proof. Clear about the lies. There's the devil again. Being tied to something, committed to something. I swear she was coerced. It's going to become very clear about the evil workings, good versus evil in this whole scenario. I think she was an innocent bystander. She saw something and they're trying to put a narrative to her and tell her what she saw. 4-leaf clover. A window of opportunity. Mustard seed. Planting a seed. I shit you not. You know, I've always said there was some kind of cover-up in this. Right? This is spelling it out. The devil, good versus evil. The burden of the devil was, the devil had a problem here. They needed a witness to paint a picture. Who better than the DoorDash driver? And it was a stroke of luck that the DoorDash driver did see something. But they planted some kind of narrative or seed in a DoorDasher's mind. That was their opportunity to plant some kind of seed of deceit. Okay? They planted a seed of deceit because she can't remember exactly what she saw. She's very unclear about it. And they are bringing clarity to her, saying, oh, don't you remember? This is what you saw. Did you see this? And she's thinking back, and they're planting memories in her head. False memories, the fox. I shit you not. I shit you not. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. The sun in the reverse. The hidden truth. You know, she was not clear. And they're trying to get the light, instead of having the light shine and the spotlight on who really did it, they're planting a false seed of a false memory in her about the executioner, but the wrong executioner. This is somebody who did it, and this is somebody who didn't. Boom. There's a boom for you. They're telling her who she saw, but they are telling her that she saw, she really did not see. AKA Brian Kohberger. This is convincing me even more that he's innocent. Hand in hand in a reverse. She did not want to cooperate with them. But with the cup overflowing, emotions. It's all like some kind of an offer, emotional offer here. Olive tree. Deeply rooted family. Was she threatened? Was this witness threatened in some way? Inheritance. This is the Ten of Pentacles. Threatened by somebody dealing with whoever was running towards the fraternity house. And it created a shift, a karmic shift. A change in the narrative. Money. I shit you not. Cornucopia. I shit you not. Can you say cold hard cash? This is what you remember happening. Karmic relationship in the reverse. Then we're going to break ties. She had no connection with these people until she became a witness of somebody high tower, somebody high up. I shit you not. I can't make this shit up. Not in the public eye. Out of public sight. Draw the attention. You have to draw the attention off of me, off of us. Scapegoat. A hidden scapegoat. They already had Brian Koberger in mind. I think that the organization, and I've got my card. That card had wings. Fell on the floor. It's saying, "Pay attention to me." Straight razor. Hidden scapegoat and hidden. No. The knife is hidden. Somebody. Scapegoat is usually somebody who is set up. In the reverse is who's guilty. Sharp razor. In the reverse. This is somebody who's guilty who hid the razor, the blade that was used. She had to forget that she saw the blade up here, the scythe. She had to forget that she saw the blade. Strength card in the reverse, overpowering her, using brute strength, and she felt weak. She felt like she could not resist these people. No. She could not resist those people. Cornerstone. She did not have a leg to stand on. Another one that landed on my foot. Footprint. The latent footprint. The shoe print. Handcuffs in the reverse. My hands are not tied. No tie. There's actually, they made sure that there was no physical evidence or physical ties between them and her. Butterfly. That is the free social spirit. Parties, free spirit, single. They're definitely painting some kind of narrative. They tainted her. Somebody tainted her memory. A little bit of coercion, maybe even a little bit threatening. Saying this is a story you are going to tell. My mind keeps going to SG. Not Scott Green. Well, Scott Green could be it. But Steve G. With that family. And Steve G is so set on convicting Brian Koberger. This is the Witch's Oracle. I have not used this in a reading in years. And I happened to grab it with this deck. Interesting, right? Okay, what else about this witness? This is painting a very strong picture. The broken glass foretells of ill luck for long years, if near. Broken glass. Something broken. Bad luck. Got the gentleman. So, BK having bad luck in this. right? The ship. It was just his luck. The gentleman, BK, having bad luck because he was out traveling that night. Out driving around. Clouds. Confusion. Ambiguity. No alibi. No, well, it's provable now, but at the time. Children. Friendly gentleman. Queen of Diamonds. Children. Young people. Queen of Pentacles, mother. I'm going to dig deeper into these. Something about children and exchange. And then we have the park. The park is public. Oh! The parents of the victims publicly taken away any credibility of BK. Stealing his life. And we have the rod and the whip. An argument. There was... An argument, a repeat. The broom and a whip is also sweeping. The card says the rod near predicts family quarrels, distant losses. Oh, this is this is like the Ten of Swords. Jack of Spades. The Shepherd initiates an intense love life and strong fellow feeling. This is a real perpetrator. Sweeping who did the crime. That BK's taken the fall for. The stork. Who has transitioned and moved on. Not transitioned out of this world, but who has moved on. Rings change. Because he was left behind. Kaylee was moving. That was one of the motives. I think the one that she saw was the ex-lover of one of the girls, allegedly speaking. She may have seen Jack D in the vicinity of the home. And the cards are saying he was angry over Kaylee leaving. So we're going into a little bit more than what I was planning on. This is supposed to be about the witness, but this is given why the witness would have seen Jack D. And I think that's why, because of the money that's coming from Jack D's family, so that he's not implemented or looked at or suspected, that the seed was planted. Hey, it was BK you saw, wasn't it? And I almost want to say the use of psychology somehow to make her believe. And I think she's not actually being dishonest or distruthful on purpose. It's a false memory that was planted in her head. Because we can't, heaven forbid, we can't let Jack D be any part of it. But he was there. I feel he was there. Interesting. Interesting. Especially with that 10 of spades. Because he had an argument with Kaylee. So they needed some kind of scapegoat. They had their eyes on BK because by his stroke of luck, he just happened to be out and about that night. And they said perfect. I can't say for sure that BK was signaled out ahead of time. But they needed to find somebody to take the fall because can't have the son of an influential family be accused or be on trial or be investigated. He was cleared really, really quickly. And here's the other thing. His DNA at the crime scene, if it was there, wouldn't mean jack shit. No pun intended. Because he was there so much at that house, at the King Road house. So if his DNA was showed up at the crime scene, he wouldn't think anything of it. The only thing that if there was any kind of BLOOD or anything like that in his car or on a spot on a piece of clothing or a pair of Vans shoes, maybe. That's what I'm really curious about, the shoes. That might be a future reading about the Vans shoes. The latent footprint. The broom and whip can also be representation of cleaning things up as well. Trying to decide if I want to bring out the other deck or not. I'm just going to use mine real quick. Get a few cards. And then call this a read. See if there's any summary. I know, another long video. Five most important cards from this side of the deck. Somebody would... I shit you not. The family tree. Organization. Running to the frat house. It's because somebody did something out of anger. I can't make this up. An angry person running towards the family. Two more cards, please, out of this side of the deck. I shit you not. With the knife. They left with the weapon. Child. Somebody's child. Organized crime of somebody important that might even have had some crime ties. Just saying. Running towards a family for help. Who this crime family, that makes sense. Timeline. There's a timeline issue with the whole thing. You know, police, purposely or not purposely, they've got the whole timeline wrong. The timeline is off. Because from my research, and believe me, the video that you saw earlier, the clip, was not the only video I have watched, but it's one that really caught my attention because he paparazzi really makes you think. Okay? But I think the timeline is off. I think the DoorDash driver arrived after the fact, after everything was done. Okay, 5 cards from this side of the deck. Are there any cards from this side of the deck? Maybe there aren't any. Abandoned building. Abandoning. That could almost remind, like this here, almost reminds me of 1122, empty house. Witness. There's the witness. The witness saw running to a building that maybe it was abandoned or vacant at the time. Somebody angry running towards the family or the frat house. Fired. Somebody this was not, at least one of them was not a hired hit, put it that way, and vanished. It's almost like they saw this person running in the direction of the fraternity and then they just totally vanished, and she has no idea where they went because she didn't pay very much attention to it at the time because she did not know what had happened. Fake death hoax. Water. Secret society. A hoax is a falseness. Fake information about the death's a hoax. That the flow of information coming from a secret society. Okay. So, basically to summarize this, I feel like this DoorDash driver, female DoorDash driver, she saw somebody in a mask running from the King House, 1122 King Road House, going in the direction towards the frat house. It may have caught her attention for a minute, and then she kind of let it go. She didn't retain, oh my God, that Four of Pentacles release, I said. She did not retain the memories or the details of what she saw. And her and the real perpetrator crossed paths. I'm convinced of that. That's why there's an issue with the timing on this, of when these unalivings happened. Because they want to claim it's after the DoorDash delivery. According to the energy I'm picking up on in these cards over here, it happened before. And it's possible, especially the scythe, and it's possible, now I'm looking at this, that she saw somebody was still at the house. Maybe she didn't see them, but they were still at the house. And potentially when she was driving, when she was leaving, somebody was running from the house. And that is key there. And she doesn't remember exactly what she saw. She remembers seeing somebody it looked like they could have been in a mask. But again, it's November. It could have been cold outside, so maybe she didn't think anything of it if somebody was in a ski mask. Because it's cold, they're keeping their face warm, right? And they were running towards a building or away from a vacant building. It's like there's no lives. Abandonment. Oh, because somebody felt abandoned. It's a little bit more of the story of why one of the crimes occurred. But it's pointing that storyline out because I think that's who she saw. Somebody who was butthurt because they felt they were being abandoned by one of the victims. Fake death hoax. It's almost like you're fired. You're no longer my boyfriend. Okay. I get it. I get it. They're drawing it in my head who they're talking about, who she actually saw with the weapon in hand. Maybe two, because it looked like there were multiple weapons. Just by looking at, I guess, the autopsies. Even Steve G said that Kaylee's wounds were different. So this witness saw something. She can't remember exactly what. I've said all along there are multiple motives. And somebody high up in organized crime is covering it up. Covering it up. So, I don't know why my camera just flickered. I don't know if you noticed that. It's just a flash. Oh, that could have been one of the spirits of one of the victims coming through. Oh, as I was saying that. Well, I was saying covered up and it flicked. That is a confirmation to me. From my guys from the other side or from the victims who are saying, yes, I am correct. And in order to do that, they needed a scapegoat. Scapegoat in the reverse is hidden or not revealed yet. So they had to find somebody. So past theories of that maybe Kohberger was picked out long ahead of time? No. One of these crimes, the one that the cards are talking about today, that the DoorDash driver saw, was not planned long ahead of time. It was a crime of passion. Okay? It was a crime of passion. He snapped. Okay? So the DoorDash, that's who the DoorDash driver saw. But in order to cover things up, and so they got that affidavit on December 6th. I think before the affidavit of the DoorDash driver, or somewhere around that time, probably was when, no, that was after. Because when did Kohberger leave? to go back to Pennsylvania. He's picked up in Pennsylvania. I want to say, I feel like around the time this DoorDash driver, and they got the testimony, and they got the records from DoorDash, who was the driver, etc. I think that it was a female driver. Some may argue with me and say, no, it wasn't. Don't believe everything you hear in the media. There's already misinformation out there. And this is a card reading anyhow. But I'm picking up on a female, okay? So I don't want to hear it in the comments. But this driver, unless it's a man that has a very feminine energy about him, I'll give you that, okay? But around that time, that's when they decided they honed in on Koberger. And then when they were interviewing the driver, whenever that was, they painted a narrative to the driver, I think. She told him what she saw. And they said, are you sure? Well, I can't remember exactly. It was dark, and I was working, and I didn't get a good look at anybody. I wasn't paying that much of attention. Because, I mean, even police would not have gotten her attention that night because the police weren't called until noon, almost noon. Right? 8 hours later. And that's probably when it hit her what she... Hey. Wait a second, and something clicked with her. But somebody high up that is connected to this organized crime, this organization, some people with money are well protected because they fund the fraternity. And without the fraternity, the university loses money. There's a lot of key players involved here. Not just a little measly old Brian Koberger who was working in the other university, not even Idaho. Okay? This is just... I know this is supposed to be a summary and I keep on going on and on and on and on and on. But basically, they planted the seed. They planted a narrative in her head, implanted false memories into her head, and now she thinks she remembers crystal clear what happened that night. But at the time of her own interview, she didn't. From what I'm seeing, she couldn't remember details. But somebody planted a seed. Don't you remember this? Don't you remember that? Don't you remember the white Elantra? Don't you remember the bushy eyebrows? Whatever they told her. And I think it is, now I understand why the defense is going to use the prosecution's own witness, DoorDash driver, to prove BK's innocence. So, folks, I'm done. And this is where I'm going to drop the mic.